And we're live. It's that easy.
All right.
Hey, everybody. I'm Mark. This is John. We're here at Gary's Guitars. Welcome to Guitar Talk, our weekly get together and talk about guitars thing. John is our guest for today. Gary's off this week. So, what does it take to be a guest here on our program? Basically, just people I know who have an interesting story. And so that's why John's here.
Got to live close enough that you can.
Live close enough that you can make it in a moment's notice, because there's a lot of complications there. But as we get going, if you're watching live, chime in and say hello in the chat. Say hi. If you have any questions at any time, just put them in the chat and we'll catch up with them. If you have anything to add to the conversation, just put that in there and we'll figure that out. And we do have watchers. We don't have the most watchers, but we have watchers from the most places. We often have Germany, Australia, Ireland, England, a lot of people from all over the world, like our particular brand of Guitar Talk. Cool. All right. So, as I do when we have guests, we will start by just talking about you, which you probably are uncomfortable about. But but let's just talk about kind of some of your basic biographical information. What's your musician, lifelong musician?
So I used to be a full-time musician. So as a teenager, I played folk music and started playing out a little bit. Went to Berkeley 4 years.
Heard of that? You graduated Berkeley?
I did graduate.
That's unusual. A lot of people go to Berkeley. Not a lot of people finish Berkeley.
Right. Yeah.
So you got a musical education.
Yeah. And I can say more about that if you like. But,
we will. But let's keep summarizing.
So then after that, I was doing music full time, basically or seriously for about 7 or 8 years. Variety of bands and so forth. Until I sort of switched over and got into computer software.
Computer software, yes.
And then I did that for almost 40 years, whatever.
So basically, so when I think of your first, what to me is your first music career, it's the 80s. And you had an 80s band that's actually pretty cool. Did you? Is that stuff findable online? The motives? Is that like downloadable or Spotify or any of that kind of stuff?
It's on, I put that stuff up a while
somewhere,
back
maybe
on,
SoundCloud or something like that.
It's SoundCloud, right?
All right, we gotta get you on Spotify.
It's a good point. I should. I was just thinking about that the other day. Get the motives on.
On Spotify. Make that 0.003 cents a play.
Right.
0.0003.
Let people hear what he wants.
Be out there in the universe. That's the important thing. I often say that the music I make is I make it for the alien archaeologists of the future.
There you go.
Someone's gonna have to figure out what happened on this planet, and I just want to leave my piece of it behind. So,
and you want some of that to be the music,
the music, of course, and videos on YouTube and that kind of thing too. Hey, Bob Sullivan, Bob's a regular, and Crapo, which is Joe Griff from New Jersey, and William Morgan's a regular, and Paul Stemmer is there. Sturmer. But he's so we have a couple dozen regulars who try, and actually we have a bunch of regulars. People say hey, I watched a YouTube show, and I'm like, really? Why don't you say something? But we encourage the regulars or anyone just to get in on the chat. And once again, for those of you just joining us, any questions, just kind of throw them our way, and we'll just help you out any way we can. Questions about guitars, amps, being a musician, going to Berkeley. So let's get back on. So you did the thing. You played in the bands. You sang. You're singer, guitarist, songwriter. And then was your decision to go into the software business based on family obligations, perhaps?
I didn't have a family at that point, but it was. The tipping point was probably I was in a band from Boston, original rock band, and I was. Working at a gas station.
Maybe
I should
literally
have a plan B.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe this isn't. Maybe Springsteen is not going to call.
But and then I worked 8 years in software, and Yeah, I retired a year and a half ago, and now it's like, okay, now I get to do a lot of music.
Now you're getting back into music again, which is good. Well, you never gave up on music.
No, I didn't give up.
But you just weren't focusing on it. But so now you get that stupid career thing out of the way.
That's right.
And now you're back to playing, recording a little bit, maybe writing songs.
Writing songs, cool. Yeah, I'm working on, like to have enough songs for an album. There you go.
Yeah, that's good. And so, and a lot of people so one reason that I thought it'd be good to talk to you here is a lot of people out there on the same journey of like kind of getting back into music. Like, I kind of postponed this because family or because of obligations or the need to be responsible or the need to not be a drain on your own family and make some money or have that kind of thing. So
yeah, you're right.
But what's the path back? Same position. What is the pathway back? How is it? Is it easy? Is it hard? Is it?
Well, it's pretty fun, to be able to do as much music as I want all of a sudden.
It's almost like too much of a responsibility because at least you used to have an excuse. I got a job. I can't play out. I can't take that gig. I'm sorry. Now you're like, I got to get out there and do it. There's no,
I have no excuse for not being as good as I could be.
Well, why don't you practice more? You got the time. Like, no, you got the time to practice.
Yeah. But it's all good.
Mike Endicott is in the audience, and he says hello.
Mike.
Mike is in Hungary.
It's been a while.
And he says long time, which is exactly what you said there. But so
long time, Mike? Yeah.
Yeah. Also, what led you to want to go to Berkeley? Let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah. So Berkeley, I dropped out of high school, and I was, working in different jobs and traveling different places and stuff. But I just thought, okay, I should go to college and
some kind of college.
I love music, so I applied to Berkeley and got there. I got there as a guitar major. I said, okay, I'm going to major in guitar.
Yeah.
And at that time, there were about I think about 2,000 students, and I believe around 800 were guitarists.
Oh yeah. That's a big time for the guitar in the 1980s.
And a lot of them were very good, And I was like, okay, I'm not gonna, get out of that.
Yeah, like, was it like Pat Matheny in your class or something, or one of those things? Or
I actually had him as a teacher. He's younger.
Oh, okay. But he was teaching.
So I switched right off. I switched. I'm going to major in composition.
Okay. Yeah.
Because there I was like, okay, I feel I can be a little more unique than just
okay. So now that we're name dropping, any other legendary kind of Berkeley fixtures you've been associated
I had such a great experience there, and I had so many great teachers. Yeah, I mean, all of the people you hear about from the Boston and area jazz scene. I had Gary Burton for class. I had Pat Matheny as a private teacher.
Oh yeah, right.
In fact, the way that happened, I was in a class with Gary Burton, and he pulled me aside after one class. He said, "Oh, I got this real hotshot guy coming in. He's going to teach private lessons. Do you want to take from him?" I said, "Sure,
I'll try it out."
And then I had, I had like, Tommy Gold-Ant.
He
was my piano teacher. Yeah. Les Harris was my first theory teacher. So I had all of them, and then the teacher that sort of the legend there that everybody wanted to take from was his name Herb Pomeroy. He was sort of the the teacher of jazz composition and arranging that everybody wanted to take from.
Had to get on a waiting list for his classes.
Yeah, it was pretty competitive to get in there, but it was great. Yeah.
All right.
And what's not to love? You're doing like music all the time. You're hanging out with
sounds like a great experience. Yeah.
And now, of course, back then it was all, it was basically, jazz and some classical.
Yeah,
that's right. But now they got everything.
Yeah, they have everything. They teach recording and they teach hip hop production and stuff like that. Yeah. They'll teach you anything as long as you get the money, which is probably costs a lot less money.
Oh yeah. It was amazingly cheap back then.
Speaking of things that were amazingly cheap back then, let's talk about. We're gonna have a guest. Our guest star is gonna have a guest star here. I said to John's like, "What am I gonna talk about? I don't work on guitars. I don't have the technical knowledge of the guitars, but you play guitar and you own a guitar." Let's talk about. So let's hold this one up a little bit. Let me get it up here so people can see. First of all, check that out. hardtail Strat. Check out that logo, that yummy spaghetti. Check out that neck profile if you can. So everyone out there watching, guess the year before we tell you the year. But no, so hold it for a minute, and we'll speaking of things that used to not cost a lot of money, but now cost a lot of money. Anyone out there got a guess as to the attributes of this guitar? It is not a relic. It is the original.
It's got somebody's name.
Someone carved their name. The previous owner carved their name on it.
The original owner, yeah.
Yeah.
A guy named Johnny Leggett.
Yes. Was it Jimmy James? Oh, I think that might be valuable.
Johnny Leggett. He did make a number of records.
Okay. You found him.
Yeah. Sort of rockabilly kind of.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Jimmy James was Jimi Hendrix's stage name before it was Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So, let's see. Someone says 62. Someone says 63.
Jeez, they're good.
Yeah, they're close. Yeah. What year is it?
63.
63 is right. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, and being a hardtail is pretty cool. And I talked to people about this too. The hardtail was cheaper, right? So people bought it as if you couldn't afford the tremolo arm for like $20 less, you could get the hardtail version.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and they were a lot less popular. Therefore, there's less of them in the world. Therefore, now they're more valuable with the hardtail because there was, get me the tremolo for $20. I'll take the tremolo. And so the ones that don't have the tremolo, because if you're not using the tremolo, you just take the arm out and it doesn't matter. But sonically, the hardtail sounds different.
I mean, I love that it's hardtail because I wasn't going to use the tremolo anyway.
Yeah, right. You're not going to use the tremolo, and it's going to stay in tune. And so all that routing in the back isn't there.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So actually,
so it's kind of that telly thing where it's just the through the body.
Yep.
And there's just more mass in the body because the extra route on the back. So that's cool. And so when did you come across this guitar?
Well, it's easy to tell you that because it's after I started working in software, I finally had the money to buy
an actual
guitars I wanted.
Okay, what did you play before this? Let me ask you that.
Just
playing whatever was around. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, I had some other nice guitars. I had an ES3 45 Gibson thing and a bunch of other ones, but yeah, this was what I wanted.
Yeah, you want a Strat?
Vintage Strat, yeah.
A nice 60 Strat, which vintage at the time. What year was this, you think? What year?
Yeah, this was 84.
84.
Yeah.
So basically, this was a 20-year-old guitar. Yeah. So this is if you're pining for a guitar made in 2002 by today's standards. It's not that old.
I know.
But things just seemed older then. Same thing with my Hofner bass. In 86, I bought a 20-year-old Hofner bass, and oh my God, this thing's old. Now it's 40 years older than that.
Now it is old.
Now it is literally old. But yeah, it seemed like an old guitar.
Yeah.
So yeah, you wanted the older Strat. And can I don't know if I want to make people out there envious, but how much did this guitar cost?
$1,000.
$1,000.
Yeah. Bought it from Gary.
Oh, did you? Right, yeah.
Before he had his own store.
At the Guitar Warehouse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was pretty premium though. But yeah, 62. Yeah, that's you probably did all right.
63.
63. Sorry. I'll double your money right now.
I've looked on eBay.
You've heard that one. Yeah. Was it refinished? Someone's asking.
Yeah. So do you know the answer to that? I don't know. I hear Gary said he doesn't think so.
He doesn't think so. That's primer. So there is a color behind, but it's a dull gray.
Yeah.
So that we suspect is primer.
But I believe people say it has been refretted because they
refretted definitely. Yep.
That big.
Those are huge frets, and the original frets would be skinny and short. So this was an 80s thing or maybe late 70s of putting huge. The good news is you'll never have to refret it ever again because you have so much fret here. You can just keep filing them down to recrown them. Yeah. But now you have the time to wear those frets out. That was the And so the hardtail Strats are much better guitars. That was Mike actually said that. So yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, because Mike's a telly guy. I think that's a well-known fact now, known around the world that he's a telly guy. So it's the more telly of the Strats for sure. Yeah. I like it. I like things that have that little twist too. That that little feature that you can kind of like, it's not a flaw, it's a feature.
Yep.
Like the
Yep.
it's like I'm glad it's a I'm glad I don't have that pesky tremolo arm.
That's right.
Getting in the way.
No, I'm with you on that. Yeah. Yep.
I know. I wish I knew someone who stabbed themselves in the tremolo arm and actually bled on stage. Yeah, somehow. I guess they might probably have cut it down or something. But yeah, so
yeah.
Let's see. Any other questions? So once again, I got to remind people of this as we go because people join and leave as we go. This is Guitar Talking, Gary's Guitars. This is John Booth. He's here being our guest, and as our guest is this beautiful '63 Fender Strat that we're talking about. If you have any questions about this guitar or any other guitar, you can just chime in the chat and ask us about it, and we'll talk about your guitar or this guitar or whatever it is that you want to talk about. So, that minty green pickguard is beautiful too. Yeah, that is. So it's shrunk in, of course. Yeah, with the cracks. That's all legit. Yeah. With the metal back plate. That's legit. They didn't. Fender for a little while thought like because they get the single coil hum. They're like, they had that. Sometimes they would have a copper bucket inside the guitar and some of the Jazz Masters and things. The extra layer of metal. They never figured out a way to get rid of the hum.
It has a hum.
Oh yeah, it does. Oh yeah, we talked about that recently. That the single coil hum, and that you had more than just a hum, right? What was the solution to that? We talked about that a bit.
Yeah,
electricity and ground. Oh yes.
Yeah. So
here's a good point. Yeah.
The strings in the bridge weren't connected to ground. They typically aren't on the hardtail, I guess, because there's
nowhere to easily do it.
So I brought it in here, and Gary put a little tiny.
Based on the jazz bass, I think the jazz bass had that little strip of copper that went between the pickup and the bridge, and it was good on the jazz bass. They had a cover over it, and so you never saw it. You weren't supposed to see that strip of copper, so they left it on the top of the guitar.
Well, if you look closely, you can see it. Right?
Here, you can. Can't even hardly see it, but there's a little bit of between the pickguard and the bridge. Grounded that helped.
Yes, it definitely did. I mean, the noise I'm talking about was very specific to certain places. So in certain rooms in my house, it would be
worse than others. Yeah,
but it's totally gone now. Basically, anytime I touch the string, that noise goes away, and I'm always touching the string pretty much.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so that's the idea. When you have your strings grounded, you become the ground when you touch it, and that dissipates that field. That ground field, and it kind of brings the hum down for sure. Yep. And then your primary amp. What was your primary amp back in the day, and what's your primary amp now?
Well, my primary amp back in the day was a twin reverb.
Oh yeah, it's good times.
Yeah, pretty much all the bands I was in. I had a couple different ones, but twin reverbs, and they were great. But they're kind of heavy. And
these days people are not looking them around. For sure, yeah. And what are you using these days for an amp?
Now I have a Princeton reverb reissue that I primarily use. I also have a deluxe reverb reissue.
Oh yeah,
But when I need more power, I can use that one.
But Princeton these days is loud enough because these days, and I tell people this in the store often, and that is PAs are just a lot better than they used to be. You can attest to this. And oftentimes your amps get mic'd up anyways, and you don't have to be. The amp behind your head isn't what the person in the back of the room in a theater is listening to anymore. So you don't have to be blistering loud, and some people don't like the blistering loud anymore too. Though I love the twin. I love the sound of the twin. I have a twin, and it's just that massive headroom. It's 120. My twin, kind of maps out at 120 watts. It's a later twin. The thing is just nuts. We tested the wattage here and just well over 100 watts. But I'm only using like 6 watts of it, So just that massive amount of headroom just gives you that kind of literal air in the sound.
Right. But the amp I'm coveting at the moment is the Tone Master.
Digital Tone Master. We talked about the Tone Master. The deluxe Tone Master is we do have one coming in, but it's a blonde. I don't know if you like the blonde look on the amp, but so about the Toemaster, because we've talked about this with the folks out there quite a bit, is and so on some of my other YouTube videos, it mentions that they're hard to get now, and I don't know if it's a chip shortage thing or whatever. But during the pandemic, it was they're like, please take the Toemaster. We don't, and now they're like, oh no, it's going to be next April. Don't if I ordered one right now, so. But we do have some schedule that we previously ordered, so I'll definitely notify you when the Toemaster gets in. Super lightweight, big sound, almost, kind of like the Twin in a way. Even though it's designed to be the Deluxe, the one that you play that belongs to me, it's designed to sound and look like the Deluxe, but because the power amp section isn't 22 watts, it's 100 watts. There's just massive headroom it's not using, so it gives you the Twin effect of just having that rounder top on the note, and getting any kind of, grit or grime comes in the preamp section. It comes in the modeling area of the amplifier.
Yeah.
So I think it does have a powerful, even though it claims to be 22 watts, it has a powerful power stage, and that kind of has a Twin-like effect. And that's what I like about the Toemaster Deluxe. And that, some people who like a Deluxe might not like that.
Yeah. Well, it's got, two features that I like the sound of. One is the what do you call it? The
output attenuator.
Attenuator.
So you can make it behave like a quieter amp and get some overdrive through the amp. Yeah, that is a good feature.
And then when you pick it up, it's
comically light. It is. You could accidentally throw it across the room if you didn't know if you thought it was the tube one. It weighs half as much, I think, if not.
Yeah.
They just made, especially with the Deluxe model, they just made it. Like there's a Toemaster Twin, and it's a little heavier, and there's a Toemaster, they made a Super in the Toemaster series, and it's a lot lighter than the Super, but the Deluxe is just like, I had a proud moment. I was walking up a hill to a theater I was playing at. I had my guitar and a gig bag over one shoulder. I had my amp in one hand. I had my keyboard and keyboard stand in the other, and my regular bag of cables over my shoulder, and so I could go to the gig up a hill in one trip. Hey. There's something to be said for that. So Mike, which you did answer this question, but let's talk about this. Mike Endicott to say, where did you get it, John? So it was the Guitar Warehouse that you got the Strat at? And was it probably Mike might have laid hands on it back then too?
He might have. I don't know. Did he
Mike
work on it
there?
I know he worked. I did. But I don't know that any work was done on it at that shop.
So this is our nearly halfway through recap. You're watching Guitar Talk. We talk about guitars. We're talking about this particular guitar quite a bit because it's here in the room with us. But we'll talk about any guitar. Just ask a question. Put a question or comment in the room's kind of quiet tonight. So come on, challenge us. Ask John about Pat Matheny's lessons. Ask about playing. Ask about the neck profile on the vintage Strat, which is the real thing that they still don't have right in the reissues. I think it's because these were hand shaped, and it depended on the hand of the person who made it as to the shape. I think they would put their hand around it and then file it and sand it, and then kind of put their hand around it.
Yeah. So I mean, one thing I will say about this neck, if I'm not gentle with it, it'll
it gets rubbery. I believe that. So, but generally, the profile on these older Strats tends to be skinnier up here and then thickens sooner. It's not like a gradual. So the new necks just really have a gradual taper kind of thing to it. Where this, it thickens up. And any of you who play old Strats and even P basses and stuff like that, that is a thing that on the reissues are quite good, but that's still something they don't have feel-wise on the reissues of those guitars.
So are there reissues that you can get that are like,
I think they have a 62 reissue that it's like it's good enough to trick you.
Yeah.
Other than, like I said, the neck, and also the neck feel, like you have no finish left on that neck, and that's all
Right. Yeah.
Just yeah.
What about the pickups and the issues? Because I do love the sound of this thing.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. The pickups and the reissues. How to describe them? Okay, so if you buy custom shop level pickups at Fender, this reminds me of a little accidental debate I had with someone on on YouTube, because I tell people this because some people like to crap on the Player Series because it's made in Mexico, but I tell them that just because your guitar is made in the USA doesn't mean all the parts that made it in the USA, and a lot of the parts to make the American Fender guitars are made in the Mexican factory and shipped to America and assembled. And on some of the guitars, that's true as well. So the pickups come from somewhere. They're not hand wound at Fender. However, in the custom shop, like if you get a custom shop reissue kind of stuff, there are 4 people, and someone sent me this video of like, look at this. There's people at Fender winding pickups. So you're saying that the pickups are wound at Fender, but here's people winding pickups at Fender. It's like there's 4 people. Fender makes 100,000 Strats a year. That's 300,000 single coil pickups. You think those 4 people are winding 300,000 Stratocaster pickups, and then it's not. Yeah. So those hand wound, made just like the old ones, exacting reproductions, are found somewhere on the Fender line, high up. So that's you do have to really graduate to that like custom shop level of reissue to really get the pickups that are probably gonna these being hand wound pickups, and these being so these pickups are also half dead. Not a lot of people kind of realize that, but sometimes you get it's like getting your guitar. I got a guitar refretted, and I was like, I just kind of ruined the guitar, like the frets were super flat, but now there's something not right. This sounds different, like it. So sometimes like the thing that's failing a little bit is the thing that kind of makes it. The reason you like the pickups is you're missing 25% of your windings on the bridge or something crazy like that, Or if you measure the impedances across the pickups, how they work together, their impedances and will kind of interact with each other in those in between positions. So it's tough when you talk about pickups.
I see. Yeah. Okay.
But you just got to try one out.
Yeah.
If you get the chance to pick one up and try one out, and then the other thing, since you already have this. And you do play this at gigs, right? You're not one of those people who are just too scared to play the guitar. Because I'm the same way. I have a 65 Gibson 330. I suspect Gibson made 2 of them in 1965. One belongs to Paul McCartney, and the other one belongs to me. And I don't know that for sure, but there aren't many out there. Yeah. And I know he has a 65 Gibson 330. John and George got the Casinos that were Epiphone, but they didn't have a left-handed one, so they gave Paul the Gibson. Yeah. Anyways, but I do play it at gigs, and it's had the neck broken on it and fixed or whatever, but it's made to play. Yeah, I mean,
that's probably why I was asking about the reissue of this. Like, okay, if I ever did want to just keep it at home and not play it, could I find something that sounded like it? The answer is have to try it out and find out.
Yeah. That's definitely always, and that's the fun of it. You get to go around trying out a bunch of guitars. Yeah. So from the room, there's a few comments. East Bay Barry was a regular, just chimed in, and so did Brandon, just saying hi. But also, any update on the availability of tubes? Yes, folks, Tubageddon is over. Don't worry, we got plenty of tubes. Unfortunately, the price went up a little bit. But they were comically cheap before too. So I think we've been managed to. So what happened is for Electro Harmonix Electro Harmonix owns a factory in Russia. That's where they make most of the tubes that we use. And when these Russian sanctions started, Russia's like, okay, we're going to counter sanction any American companies that are doing business in our country. And Electro Harmonix fell under that. And so no export for you to America. So they figured out a workaround. I think they're exporting to some like Kazakhstan and then to America. And the prices went up about 20% on their tubes because they had to. But the tubes are all in stock. They're fine. Don't worry about the tubes. Because then when that whole rumor of oh no, we're going to run out of tubes because the Russians won't let us have them. people were putting, just regular old 6L6 electro harmonics tubes on eBay for $200, and people were buying them, and I was like, no, don't do it. It's not, because there's just, but I think there's still people who don't know that there is no tube crisis, folks. Got plenty of tubes. I'll sell you all the tubes you want. Just let me know any tube you want. We got it. Okay, so that's the update on the tubes. And then someone said, I'd like to hear any Pat Matheny stories, because I mentioned that you had met Pat Matheny. Anything you can?
Well, I can describe taking lessons with him. So,
there you go.
Yeah. So
did he have that wild hair at the time?
Yeah, he had the hair.
He already had the.
Yeah, he already had the hair.
Yeah, that's
I think I mentioned he was, well, he is younger than me, about a year or whatever. But he was. He had played with like Gary Burton, I don't know who else, before he came to Berkeley, and he only taught there for a year and a half, 3 semesters. I had him for 2 of those, so pretty lucky. Yeah. But yeah, the lessons with Pat were here's what happened.
Oh, yeah, okay.
We'd go into
a
room, bring out the real book, all the lead sheet charts, and play tunes, and we'd take turns playing solos. He might say 5 or 6 words after a tune.
Yeah.
But pretty much that was it.
That was it. Just kind of jamming. Yeah.
Kind of jamming.
That was his kind of way of getting there. Would he be like, hey, don't do that, or was it just like,
no, not that specific.
So, but when you're watching him, were you like, ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
You're trading solos on the same song.
On the same song. Yes. That's right. Yeah.
But you're playing changes while he's soloing.
Exactly. Yeah. Going back and forth.
Yeah. So at least you can say, like, I got backed up by Pat.
I did. Yeah. So I still work with him.
Yeah. So he handed it off to me all the time.
Yeah. So that's like, I mean, clearly, he was an awesome player. Obviously, he still is. But he was not trying to be a great teacher.
Yeah. No, he has a reputation for being enigmatic. Is that the word or whatever?
Yeah.
Or mysterious or whatever. People like. Was it him where people would go for private, very expensive private lessons, and he'd be like, yeah, let's go out in the garden and hang out for a bit. That kind of like, you're just going to.
Sounds likely.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not really feeling it, or, whether, That's okay, so let me catch up with the room chat here. Good chance I might have refinished it, according to Mike.
I did
do a few guitars in Candy Apple Red when I discovered the company was in Amesbury, but they're long gone now. So the company that made the paint, maybe?
I'll be darned.
But what condition was the paint in when you bought it? Was it
the condition of the paint? Yeah.
Was it already
it had a little bit of this action here, but not much. Now
so it might have not been refinished because to wear through to the primer, it wouldn't have happened in that amount of time, I would think. So it does look pretty, and we could find out by taking the pick guard off and looking for remnants of.
Oh, you could.
Yeah, sometimes I would. I mean,
Have a look.
Of course, you would. You could go either way on this, but if it was a refinish, it was done very well. It's. I suspect. Could go either way on that, but we'll do a little more investigating if you really want to get to the bottom of it, but. That also essentially doesn't matter when it's just going to keep this for the rest of your life, right? It's value. I mean, because refinish does, figure into the vintage value of an instrument, but also it also figures into the fact that if you're never going to sell it, then that's what I say about my Hofner bass when I was on playing at a show in New York, and I had it leaned up against my B15, and someone was like, "Is that a real Hofner bass?" I'm like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "You know how much that thing's worth?" And I was like, it's worth nothing because I'm not selling it. So it's my bass. I can do whatever, he was like, kind of like, you got to treat that thing better. And I was like, it's just my, its purpose, unfortunately, on this earth is to be my bass. And so, guess what? Karen Traversy.
Hey, Karen.
Just joined in. John, who's your favorite guitarist, favorite songwriter and composer?
Well, guitarist is pretty easy. I mean, a long time Mark Knopfler.
Oh yeah.
Fan. Yeah. That's the easy one. What were the other ones? Songwriters. Impossible.
Songwriters. Composers.
I got to tell you, I play with three folks, we get together every 1 or 2 weeks. We play all Bob Dylan music.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a very impressive.
Yeah, that's an impressive collection that man has. That's for sure. Yeah.
But on the flip side, I mean, if you get me going on this a little bit, you know, I've also been seeing tons of Paul McCartney and the Beatles, right?
Yeah.
So the whole Get Back thing
Back
and that other thing that he did with Rick Rubin and
that show he did with Rick
plus
Rubin.
we went to see him a few years ago.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he's sort of, Paul McCartney. He's like, he might be my number one, idol.
Yeah, it could be an all-time musical idol kind of thing. Because I think even his popularity of late kind of stems where people are like, even if you're not like, you just got to hand it to the guy.
Yeah.
Like, even if you're not like a huge fan, and if you are, it becomes a little greater. But the guy is just doing it right.
Yeah, but at the same time,
had that career.
At the same time, I sort of, immerse myself in Dylan music. It's like, okay, he doesn't have what Dylan has.
No, Dylan
doesn't
it's a
have
whole
the
other
whole music thing. Yeah. So,
but that now famous scene in the Get Back movie where Paul's just strumming a chord on his bass and he starts running.
I know. And he can pull it out in there.
Yeah.
Wait,
Get Back.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's all right. Yeah, just literally out of nowhere.
Yeah. But if I could, maybe be slightly controversial there.
Okay.
Yes, it's a great song. But
Yeah.
you know what? The lyrics are very thin. Sweet Loretta Martin thought she was another man. It's like, okay, what the hell, Paul?
And maybe that's a Bob Dylan influence, that wordplay that Bob Dylan used to do. And you know that John and Paul admired Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
And Bob Dylan could do something. That's something you could hear from Bob Dylan on Blonde on Blonde or something like that. Just like this, create this character out of nowhere who you know nothing about, who has this like this big reveal like right off the so the song Get Back not as the best lyrical work. It's not maybe I'm Amazed by any
right
but it is it's enduring.
Yep.
All right, let me catch up with the room here because we had a few other people chime in. So is that Blues Cube blonde amp behind you? If so, how do you like it? So blonde, so there's a. So what can they see? That's a crate right there. And so that's a tube crate. It's great. The crates were made by St. Louis Music, who also made Ampeg, and they're pretty much identical, except when you buy the crate, in the late 90s and early 2000s, when you buy the crate, you pay half as much. So, and then we do have a Blues Deluxe a little further down. That looks like that also has the tweed as the real, and that's a pretty cool one. That's a USA made one. Mm-hmm. All right, so there's that. Pat Matheny told Rick Beato recently that compared to Bach, we all suck.
Compared to Bach?
Yeah, no, Bach.
Bach. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
We all suck.
Okay.
I saw Pat as a teenager with Gary Burton in Manhattan. Yeah. JJ UK from London has just said hi. He's a regular. Look closely to see if there's a gold undercoat under the red. If so, I painted it. Fender used a silver undercoat. This has kind of a gray silver under. Yeah. Would you call that silver? No, it's neither silver nor. Yeah, let's let Mike see this. So it doesn't look like a. So that would take some research.
Yeah.
It could be. You go either way. There's something. One thing is we look for dings that are under the paint. Sometimes when you see this and that, makes me wonder if someone didn't sand up the dings or something when they repainted it. But I don't know. But it's the other thing is this paint that's been on there for 30, 40 years. So
yes.
So it's better than original because the original paint wasn't on there for 20. Because it was dinged up when you got it.
Yeah.
So if it got repainted, it probably got repainted 10 years before that. When it was not. So people used to refinish their instruments more, right? And they're like, oh, this has scratches and dings. I should put a new finish on it. Now it was like, keep it original. Okay. Like in the violin world, I don't know, friends in the violin world, and their goal all the time, the players and the luthiers are always like, let's maximize this instrument as much as possible. And, let's make this the best possible sounding instrument, do whatever we have to do to make that happen. And in the guitar world, it's like, don't change the strings. like you refretted it. Oh my God! It's like, well, the frets were worn off. What could you do? You know, it's like, or there was a guitar we sold that had a rewound pickup because the pickup was dead, and they're like, "Would you rewind the pickup in the '60s?" You know, it's like because they were dead.
Yeah.
So
comes back to the point about playing it versus just
playing but keeping it, collecting it. Yeah. So there's that too. Yeah. But also to that end, just play it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because whoever imagined these things would last for 50, 60 years anyways. That's a 60-year-old guitar, right? Like, what could you buy in 1962 for $400 that you would still have today and would still be working fine?
Not the cars.
No cars. The house that you bought then would probably be falling over by now. Did you buy a toaster? Could still be working on nothing. Just the guitar. That's why it's a miraculous thing.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me finish catching up here. John, what's the best live show you've ever seen? That's a good question.
Best live show.
Yeah, you saw some shows, right?
I did see some shows
back in the day.
Yeah. I saw the Beatles. You know.
Yeah. Which tour was that?
Their last tour, '66.
Yeah, was that the one that Gary saw as well, or? Gary
I think so. I believe so. Yeah.
Because Gary got dragged to it because his sister had to go and he had to take her or something. He wasn't like a Beatles fan at the time.
I went with two of my siblings. So
right.
But I think it was the same show in Suffolk Downs in Boston.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
But the sound system was terrible, and the screaming people was like,
they admit, that's just before they quit playing live because it wasn't working. So, but it's just nice to be there and hear some of it. It's the Beatles. Yeah, that's an amazing show.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Well, in recent years, I've seen a couple of shows that I totally love. One was Paul McCartney. I love that show.
Put on a great show.
He is totally, pleasing his audiences. And
he's doing mostly Beatles songs, and then the Wing songs you want to hear. The famous ones. So throws in a couple new ones, just to maybe one or two, but like everything's the classics. He played for because I saw him recently. Played for nearly 3 hours, 2 and 45 minutes or something.
Yeah.
He didn't pee once. He didn't take a sip of water once. Oh. He didn't leave the stage.
Those are related,
once. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He didn't leave the stage once. He's just a music machine.
Yeah.
Like like all of a sudden the song will be over. He hands one guy's guitar and 3 other guys will be pushing the piano in the middle of the stage. He'd sit down at the piano and start playing it.
Yeah. So another recent show I saw was Stevie Wonder, the songs in Key of Life.
That show. I wish I went to that.
That's recent. But back in the day, I actually, with Gary and his wife Karen, we went to see Bruce Springsteen down in the Garden in '78, the Darkness on the Edge of Town tour. So that was a great show.
Yeah, that is a classic lineup. Yeah.
So.
Someone asked any Who shows. Did you ever see the Who?
Not the Who. I saw Jimi Hendrix Experience with.
Did you? Well, you left that one out. Buried the lead on that one. What year was that?
Well, I think when it was the year before he died. So that was when's that?
69.
No, I think a little later, wasn't it?
I have to look it up.
I was out in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I was traveling out there and sort of a commune and. My buddy said, "Hey, Jimi Hendrix is playing Albuquerque.
It must have cost like $2 or whatever,
That was money, so it couldn't cost him much.
$2.50 or something.
But it was after he had done like Band of Gypsies. He was back with his original trio.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So that was great. He did a terrific version of Red House. I remember that.
Yeah. That's something to remember. Yeah.
A couple of the others, he might have been dialing in a bit, but that one was like,
Yeah, he really, And so this is the same guy, East Bay Barry, is asking more rock show questions. Cream, did you ever see Cream?
Oh no, I didn't see Cream.
What about Clapton?
No.
Okay.
No, a lot of my peers saw a lot more groups than I did.
Yeah, maybe. I wish I'd seen more shows than I did, and I haven't been to stadium shows because I saw Paul McCartney recently. I hadn't been to a stadium show in years, of course, because no one has, but also just because I kept kind of like, But now, because sound systems are better and the visuals are better, stadium shows are just kind of better, and I'm going to make a point of seeing, I did see Little Richard back before he, saw Little Richard before he died. I saw him when he was what I thought was old at the time, which I don't think is that old anymore because I'm getting older. I think he was maybe 79 or 80, and I was like, wow, he's old. But now I'm hoping I definitely get to that far myself. So. That's normal.
Yeah, right.
That's not that old. That's not old. Everyone gets to be 80.
Yeah.
And he, his big thing was he sings it all in the original keys.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And that was a good show.
Paul did original keys, I believe.
Yeah. I think someone said, and I experienced. I thought everything was original key when I saw him. So I saw him this summer when he's just about to turn 80. Someone said, "Oh, most of it was in the original keys." I'm like, really? I didn't remember hearing anything that was. If it was off, it was just a half tone or something. Yeah. I don't think he did a thing which I would do myself, of course, because he's also singing for 3 hours. Like I say, of course he's a professional, but where once in a while one of the other singers would back him up, sing unison with him on high notes, and he could kind of do one of those things where you lean back a little, and
so he doesn't have to belt it out.
So he doesn't belt. So the support is there, So how can you laugh when you know I'm down? That kind of something like because he did I'm down, I think. I just want, it was an impressive show. Let's just leave it at that. Best show I ever saw was John Mayall with Clapton. So that was JJUK, mid '60s. Yeah, that's that would be that's one for the books. I was just over on the Amplified Parts webpage, and most of the Russian tubes have been restocked, plus a lot of new Chinese ones, in case anyone was searching. Yes, I mentioned that earlier. Electro-harmonics, they got all of the stuff back in stock, and we're back in stock. And I don't think JJ ever went out of stock, but the worry was if the biggest manufacturer, there's only two manufacturers making most of the tubes. The one is Electro-Harmonics, and they make about 4 or 5 brands in their factory, but they're all like the same factory. And then the other's JJ, which is Slovakian, and then there's a Chinese company making some tubes, but I think they don't do that anymore or something. So there was a danger. There was a little worry that tube supplies would get short. But as I said earlier, not to worry. We get the tubes, and people are buying amps that don't use tubes. Right, that happens.
See previous conversation.
It's now that was my joke a year ago. Like it's now a feature, not a flaw, on those ToneMaster amps. That the maintenance on them, as far as we know, because they're only a few years old, but the maintenance is pretty much done. Or if you do need maintenance, it's kind of like a Tesla. You just have to get it, like shocked, or they have to reset the whole thing. Someone has to press a few buttons, and the thing just
all new software.
Or you upload, you just plug in a USB and do something, or one of those things that I had to do that on my Nord keyboard. I don't know if you're familiar with the Nord keyboard. It's the one that most of the red ones you see everyone using, and same like the ToneMaster. You open it up, there's a little board in there that has everything on it. And I had a memory problem, and so one of the memory modules was glitching, and it was causing some weird sounds and stuff. And I just sent that board to a guy in New Jersey, just dude in New Jersey, and he just takes the board and trade and sends you a new flashed board. Yeah, I think he has to. It's a known problem with the memory chips. He just swaps them out or whatever, and fixes the ones that are. And it's just some dude in the garage who just taught himself how to do that, and so that's why I'm not worried. A lot of people are worried about the ToneMaster, like, what am I going to do? Who's going to fix this? If there's a need to fix them, someone will fulfill that need. So. Okay, so let's check back in the room for a minute. Sometimes my chat lags, so I have to leave and come back. But I got a tablet over here. I'm not just gesturing into the atmosphere.
Into the air.
Yeah. So there's one other thing that you mentioned earlier that maybe we should talk about, if there's nothing else from the room, which no updates in the room right now, which you're like, hey, I want to get a pedal board together.
Yeah. So for years I got by with like one delay pedal. But now it's like, okay, I get 2 pedals, maybe 3, and it's and it's running on my batteries is not so great because the batteries always bad.
The worst possible time, and then
So it's like, okay, I want to get started with a pedal board,
Well, this is something that I like talking about because it used to be, and now it's different kind of thing. Where like, I used to say even like if your power supply does not have a transformer, do not use an impulse power supply. You got to have a transformer in your power supply. All that other stuff is junk. So basically, an impulse transformerless impulse power supply is kind of like what your laptop would have with if you like your Apple laptop, like your laptop, your IBM laptop years ago had that big box, and inside there was a little transformer and a board and a real power supply. Nowadays, it's just this little thing you plug in the wall, and there's no transformer in there.
Yeah.
And the designs of those was kind of like they were a little funky and undependable, but now they're fine because so many power supplies are made like that, and there's not enough of that I don't say like, oh, you have to have only this one or this. Most companies make all right power supplies. The only thing that a bad power supply can do is introduce noise into because if you're pulling too much amperage out of something that's really doesn't have the surplus kind of headroom it might go bzzz once in a while or something. So that's why you might want to spend the money rather than just you can get the wall wart and the daisy chain, and sometimes for a few pedals that's fine. That's all you need.
Okay.
And then you just get any old pedal board or any bag to be your pedal board bag, and you're done. And if you only have a few, but this is easy because you were involved in computer software, right? So you're probably good with the math and the computer stuff.
But not electronics. So
electronics parts. Well, it is math. You flip over your wall wart, and it tells you how many amperes that you can pull out of it. Yeah. And usually it's in 1 amp or 2 amps if there's a good one. And so then you flip over all your pedals and see how much they need. Yeah. And you want to be well above it. You don't want to be up to it. But like a Boss pedal uses 50 milliamps.
Okay. Yeah.
So you could run 20 off of a 1 amp power supply, assumably. Yeah. Now, an Electro-Harmonix digital reverb, which you might have, or some of these more sophisticated digital pedals, they require 300 milliamps.
Yeah, okay.
Or or half an amp. Yeah. You got to check on the box or check the the online and see how thirsty your pedals are, and that's how you can choose how powerful your wall wart and or power supply has to be, and then you can match it up with a board that's the size of what you think you might like.
Yeah,
and then I think you're done. I nowadays I have actually literally this board. A little advertising here. This one's from On Stage. On Stage has mixed two qualities of things. They make the super cheap stuff and other stuff that's pretty good. And this I would say is pretty good. I got one that comes with a bag, and it has space for so I have across the bottom, I have 4 pedals. I have a couple large format. I think I have a total of 6 pedals on mine because I have a wah pedal on. And wah takes up a couple of spaces. Yeah. But so you see there it shows a bunch of pedals on. Yeah. Ones, so they make one that's half the size of this that fits 5 or 6 pedals comfortably, depending on the size of the pedal. But I got that one, and I said that's it. I'm not enlarging my board anymore. Like the pedals I use is going to be this many. Whatever fits on this board, I'll use it. If it doesn't fit, I don't need it. Mm-hmm. But that puts me in the predicament of I have to choose to have a chorus or a phaser. I can't have them both. There's just one position that's either chorus or phase, depending on. Because I just can't cram another pedal on the board.
I see.
So then I'm thinking, do I need to go up? And then if you go up too big, then you're going to fill it up. If the goldfish grows to the size of the tank.
Yeah. Okay.
So keep that in mind when you're deciding which pedal board. So maybe you want the smaller 4 pedal board, or
at least to start.
Well, then that's the thing. If you want to grow, then but there's that.
Yeah.
Let's check out with the room. Well, JJ UK also say Soft Cream, and also Fleetwood Mac with Peter Green and Jeremy Spencer. He's that's
wow.
well, he's in the UK, so it's easier to see Fleetwood Mac, the original Fleetwood Mac. Yeah. Off topic, but what is the Strat just left on the H for Hofner banner? Okay, hold on. What is he asking about are you asking about the Sunburst or the silver one? The silver one is just a regular player series, and the Sunburst, I think, is a standard It's a before the player, but it's not that old. It's maybe the first year player series. So they're just kind of regular old Strats. And we have a bunch of Strats at the store right now. The 63 is not for sale, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, let me just catch up here. There's some cool pedal boards with big rechargeable batteries built into them. Oh, that's an idea.
Ooh, really? So you don't have to plug it in?
You don't have to plug it in. You can just,
I like that.
Yeah, as long as you make sure you plug it in before every show
kind
of thing. But yeah, you could kind of, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Thank you for telling me that, whoever shared that.
They're also making expandable pedal boards for those of us who like to add and subtract. That's that one right there. If you pick it up and
this one?
No, up there. Yeah.
Oh, this one here.
Here's if we're doing more advertising. This is the Expand from D'Addario. We got it. So if you're looking for one of those.
So this is a small board, but can.
But yeah, you can you can yank on it and make it as long as you need it to be. So either real small or moderately small. It's a good little gimmick. So yeah, let's say 4 or 8 pedals. Right. Cable clips are included.
But not the power itself. No,
not power supplies. Oftentimes, it used to be the pedal board and the power supply were the same thing.
Yeah.
Those are those big old ones that you might remember from the 80s. And those days are kind of over.
Yeah.
Where you just kind of find your power supply and your pedal board and you put them together. And then everyone always wants to find the perfect little spot, tuck away their power supply underneath. And I actually still use the wall wart type of power supply. I don't use the fancier, higher end because I don't need it necessarily with what I got. And it's convenient.
Yeah. Okay.
And if I forget it, the one that power, there's what I call the Boss standard that 9 volts DC, tip negative is kind of what most pedals use. And some like my electric piano and my pedal board use the same power supply. So if I had to, I could steal one from the other. If I had to make it work, it's kind of convenient. Thanks. I was asking about the burst. Yeah, that it's a nice looking burst, isn't that? Yeah, it's an eye catcher, and it looks like it should be more special because also the logo is a little different. That's before they went back to the spaghetti on everything, so the logo is a little fatter. So it looks like it should be something like I don't know. It looks different, but in a cool way. Okay, so. So what I should mention earlier in the show and keep forgetting to mention is please like while you're watching the video. That helps. So if you could do a like, if you could do a subscribe, we'd like that too. If you can come back next Wednesday at 6:00, the return of Gary. And let's thank our guest, John Booth. Thank his 1963 Strat for being the guest. Yeah, it's a beauty. And thanks for telling us all those cool stories. Thanks to everyone for watching. Check out the other videos here on YouTube. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook and all that good stuff too. And this is the time in which I say stand by for the end. And I get up to turn this thing off and you say good night.
Good night, folks.
And you sit there awkwardly for just a few more seconds.